If you were in downtown Boston on a recent Friday, you might have noticed friars giving out bread. It's one more example of the outreach based at St. Anthony's Shrine and Ministry Center, a fixture on Arch Street since the 1940s. Just as there have been changes in downtown Crossing, there have also been some changes at St. Anthony's, which is staffed by Franciscan Friars of Holy Name Province. We'd like to welcome the Executive Director, Father Tom Conway. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
What was it like giving up the bread last Friday?
Well, we did very well. We had
A lot of people coming up there and just saying hi, exchanging words.
yeah. It's a moment to interact both with the poor people, and one of the things that we like to do at St. Anthony's is help the wealthy interact with the poor and to explain what it's about. And so any kind of interaction or a greater understanding between the rich and the poor is a healthy thing as far as we're concerned.
And this isn't just about something material. You give them some bread or you give them money. It's about, I guess, connecting too.
Right. It's a conversation, and we regularly bring conversations that we have with poor people into homilies at St. And one of the great things, people tell this story regularly, that it's not unusual to have an extremely wealthy person sitting next to a homeless person or an almost homeless person in Mass. And so here at the Sign of Peace, to watch that interchange is actually wonderful.
I grew up in Boston, and this particular place has always been unusual for us because people go to church in parishes that are in neighborhoods, and this was the downtown church. Cardinal Cushing put it here. I guess he must have been thinking of a reason.
Yeah, one of the things is we hear a lot of confessions, and people don't necessarily want to go to confession to somebody that they're working with and talking with every day. And so to have a little bit of an anonymous feel to it, people really like to go to confession kind of that way. And so that's one of the services we provide to the larger church, and we're glad to do it.
Of course, at one time, this might have been the church for the unmarried working people downtown. They didn't spend as much time back in the neighborhoods, and I guess, they're, a constituency that might not have been taken care of as much in other places.
Yeah, and we're kind of always on the lookout. That's a Franciscan thing, is to meet the need of the church, whatever it happens to be. And so that's part of my job, is to sort of keep a lookout at what's the latest need. Talking to people after Mass on a Sunday, we have a lot of people from out of town, a lot of people who are one-time visitors to Boston. Oh, look at this gem that I stumbled on. It's fun to have those conversations.
Well, what's changing now in downtown Boston is it's a bit less of a shopping center and it's becoming a lot more of a neighborhood.
It is a lot of residential. The statistic that I've been told recently is that 30,000 new residents in downtown every year. And so some of them are Catholic, some of them have kind of unique or new needs that we might not be aware of. So kind of constantly being in conversation with the new people showing up at our door and finding out what their Catholic needs are is a big part of my job.
Well, because I was looking at their website, another constituency you're reaching out to, the LGBT community.
We did. We had an event post parade on Saturday. Gentle conversations with a lot of people that have been hurt by the church. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to sort of have sometimes somebody for the first time is able to have a gentle conversation about what's your experience of church, how can we help you, how can we reconcile with you, how can you reconcile to the church. It's a lot of gentle, sensitive, frequently tearful conversations with people.
And I guess these are people who need to make contact with each other, too. You're building community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And people can live more faithful, holy lives if they communicate with each other. And some of that is reconciling with their own family members. Some of it is reconciling with their God. So it's quite complicated, but fascinating and holy work to do.
Chris, what we're also seeing here is, I guess, a higher profile for the Franciscan order. I know we have a cardinal who's a Franciscan, the Pope, a Jesuit, but he took the name Francis, and he almost embraced the persona of St. Francis.
Yeah, the image that comes to mind for me is in Assisi, the Porziuncula. It's a little tiny, humble church inside this great, big, strong edifice of a larger church around it. A wonderful image, and we try to be in this large, strong church we have. We try to be sort of a humble presence and a gentle presence and approachable. That's a big thing of the Franciscans, and I think at Art Street is that people feel like they can come in maybe where they're not comfortable some other part of the church, they're comfortable at St. Anthony's.
Or as the Pope puts it, who am I to judge?
Who am I to judge? Right, right, right. And we have confessions all day long, and people confess all kinds of things. And so we don't say, well, this kind of confession is all right and this kind of confession isn't. We sit and we listen, and according to the rules of the church, people are forgiven and reconciled to the church. So it's nice.
Well, along with helping people who have needs, you're also trying to rally people to volunteer.
Exactly. A lot of different things to volunteer for. We have a grocery giveaway for 500 families. A lot of 12-step things that we do for people. We have a clothing giveaway. This is actually a new thing that we're doing with Dignity You Wear in St. Francis House. We have a partnership where we're helping St. Francis House give away new clothing to poor people. We're not dealing at all with secondhand clothing, so that's kind of a neat thing in that operation.
One other concern for a while, but it's a more serious problem lately, it's substance abuse. You're helping people with that as well?
I just came from a meeting at St. Francis House, and they are beginning a substance abuse licensing program. They're going to try to get a license to do this, and we partner a lot with St. Francis House as we can. And so we have a significant 12-step program at St. Anthony's, but we also try to partner with other nonprofits that are doing interesting things and things that we think build people up, build up community, build up the church. We
should mention you've got a website so people can check that out for some more information.
Absolutely, StAnthonyShrine.org.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Father Tom Conway from St. Anthony's Shrine and Ministry Center.